show. It is this Effen show. It is this Effen show.
Welcome to This Effen Show, a podcast by two trans men of a certain age.
We're back. It's This Effen Show. I'm your Uncle Drew, that guy.
His dad, Spencer.
Welcome back. This is June. And so we're going to talk about Pride because that's going on all around the world.
All month.
All month. And I think we both went to different Prides this past weekend. Did you go to?
Yeah, we went to two different prides. So we went to one in the little town that we live in, which is the second. I want to say it's either the second or the third year that they've done Pride here.
Precious.
And then yesterday we went to the next town over to their Pride, which they're on like their third or fourth. And it was significantly larger than our little Pride. Our little Pride was bigger than last year, though.
Get it.
The interesting thing about our Pride, and you're familiar with the town that I live in, so this will not come as a shock to you. But so our mayor is some right-wing buffoon who's essentially, if he's not already a Proud Boy, he's like one step away from it.
Thanks.
So initially, Pride was supposed to be happening in this park, and I live in a town that's on a lake. So it was supposed to be at this park that's down by the lake. And then the city basically said, well, we think you should move your event because we can't guarantee your safety there.
Oh, geez.
So the organizers moved it to an elementary school. The benefit of that is that schools are a hate-free zone. So it was easier for the police to be able to say, you can't even step on foot on the property for this event if you're going to be
to the bad guys. Yeah.
Difficult.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah, so that's nice. And then, so as we were walking around, we ran into a friend of ours who is with Dykes on Bikes, and they were providing security for the event. And so we got to hear a little bit about how the mayor had shown up at the beginning of the event along with his little posse and trying to stir up trouble.
Which mayor
didn't really go there. The mayor.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but the event itself was great. I mean, it was well attended. They had far more booths this year than they've had in the past. People were having a good time.
Nice.
And then yesterday we went to the next town over. And again, their Pride was much bigger than it's ever been. And it felt a lot more jubilant than our little town's Pride felt. So
nice. More celebration.
So it was nice.
More celebrating.
Yeah. Well, and also whoever they had DJing at least played some freaking gay Pride anthems. Like I don't know who was DJing the thing for our little town, but it's like, yeah, Led Zeppelin ain't it.
Oh, hey, that's a vibe.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I couldn't figure out what are the musical choices here. Whereas yesterday, like, we got there and it was, it was gay.
Gay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the least you can expect. The music should be gay.
Right?
Right.
Like, I want gay anthems playing.
We want that mix. We know that mix. We all have that mix. We want to hear it.
I have like, I don't know even how many different playlists on my Apple Music that are Pride mixes. But there's a lot.
Yeah. I have the GAY mix. I have the GEH mix. I have GEH1 mix. Yeah, we've all got it. Yeah, gay.
Yeah, gay.
Yeah.
So okay,
Yeah.
yesterday we tried listening to one of the newer mixes, like new gay anthems, and after
Yeah.
about the second song, my partner looks at me and she's like, "Oh no, we just need to go back to the things that we know." Like
Yes.
I
And
can't with the
that
new music.
Trixie Mattel was even saying something, and she's talking about drag queens doing a performance, right? And she was like, "Don't
Hmm.
come out and do the new stuff. Don't come
I
out
don't
and do
know.
the new
Nobody
song.
knows it.
No,
No.
do the club hits from 20 years ago. Do the gay anthems,
Do
right?
do Sylvester, do Gloria Gaynor, do
Yes, yes. We still want Dream Girls. Yes, give it to us. You
yes,
know.
yes.
So
And and even yesterday Luna was like, even Born This Way feels dated in a way that I don't want to listen to it.
yeah, yeah.
It's like we'd
That's a
rather
classic now.
listen to like You Make Me Feel, Mighty Real,
Yes, yes, yeah. So we were at
than
Sacramento Pride yesterday, and
yeah,
the locals were doing the drag. I mean, and it went on. Oh my god, it went
yeah,
on. And so the local queens are doing it, and I'm looking around, and there's some older salt and pepper beards next to me, but like we were it. Everybody else was like barely legal
12.
driving, right? Like the
Yeah,
kids, the children's. I didn't know one damn
yes,
song. I didn't know any of it. I'm like, this seems cool. They all lost their minds and they loved it. So good for them. Great.
yeah.
But no, I didn't know one damn song. Somebody did Bohemian Rhapsody, and I was like, this is what we're doing drag numbers to? All right, I'm here for it. But like,
All right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I mean,
And it kind of
in
served.
terms of
It
like
kind of won.
newer stuff, I could do like Kylie's Padam Padam. Like that's okay, but it's Kylie Minogue. Like
Yes. She's our gay hero. She's a shiro. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, yeah. And it was kind of, thinking about Sacramento Pride yesterday, that was really the
yeah,
overall theme for me was, oh my God, I'm old. Hey, like,
yeah.
I mean, everybody was just baby children people. And I don't know if that's just this region coming into the city and
Oh, I
seeing
don't
that,
think
but it
so.
was just children.
No, I'd
So,
say, like yesterday. So the one that we went to in our little town was far more like families. So there was a lot of like little kids.
little kids.
And they actually did kind of a cool thing. They did a joint event with the local library because the library is getting ready to build a new building.
Hmm.
So they're raising funds. So they had this whole like kids play area with all these big blow up bounce house things to do a fundraiser. So that was great. Um, and then yesterday's, there was a lot of like teenagers, which was really nice to see. Like all these young people out being themselves.
Yes.
But there was also kind of a nice mix of, there were plenty of people who looked like us with bald heads and gray beards.
You may have had
Some of
more than
whom
I
were gay,
did.
some of whom were not.
it it just looked like a sea of very, very young people. I don't know if that's just
Yeah.
what the world is made up, and so this was just a slice of that. But man, I felt really old, really out of touch. I didn't really feel a lot of. I don't know. The community didn't look like. I remember the community looking like. I sounding like a grandpa. Back when my first Pride, it looked a lot different. Uh,
Back in my day.
back in my
Yeah.
day, but there was no, I didn't see, we make the joke every year about when Pride became a corporate sponsored event, right? But like we
Yeah.
lost the
Yeah.
chaps, we lost the assless pants, we lost the topless dykes, we lost leather. Like it was all, I didn't see any of that.
Yeah. There
Um
was none of that at
and I don't
either
have
of
a
the ones
judgment
that
either
we
way.
went to.
Yeah, and that I think
The
Pride
thing that kind of surprised
gets to be
me
what.
was not only were there like not visible presences of that, but even like the
Mhm.
people with the booths that were selling product, there's no leather pride flag stuff. There's no,
Yeah.
it was just rainbows.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. The table that had like, do you need gay stuff? You're right. It was all just kind of really the normalized stuff. Yeah. The
Yeah,
flags, the rainbow sunglasses. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. So
how many
I believe
people?
yeah.
Oh, I was just going to ask, how
Yes.
many people did you see wearing flags as capes?
Yeah. More than 10 because that's how many I can count on, right? Um
Right.
all young people.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 It's like a thing.
It's a thing. Yeah.
I
I
don't
like to
ever
believe that this is
remember.
their superpower alter ego.
I'm good with that.
No.
I'm good with that.
No. Yeah.
Go on, super
But
queer.
when we were going to Pride, all we had was the one flag, right? Like that was it.
Right. That
Or
was
maybe
it.
two. Maybe we had two. Yeah. Yeah. There were
Did we
there were
have two?
flags, and this is how I was like,
Oh, we
oh
had the
shit,
leather
I'm
pride
old. I
flag.
don't even know what. Yes. Yeah, I was thinking two. Yeah.
We had the
But there were flags I didn't even know what
gay
they
pride
were.
and leather. What? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what some of
Yeah.
them are.
Yeah. There's so many.
Yeah. She's great. It's great. Pride gets to be what you need it to be, right? Pride gets to be you go get what you need out of Pride. I just
Right.
miss, I think, that sort of that that outlaw element of the community, right? And maybe
Yeah.
because we don't need. Well, I was gonna say we don't need to be outlaws anymore, but we do. We do.
We do.
They're back to really hating us. Conversion therapy's on the rise. We still need Pride.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do they do a parade in Sacramento, or is it just like a festival?
Okay. I think they do a parade. I think they do a parade. I work on the weekend, so I miss it. I'm only on the afternoons, but I think there's a parade, and the festival is 2 days. I think it's 2 days long. It is 2 days long.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, Sacramento, if you're listening. I'm out of touch, but yeah. Do you do
Yeah, so
parades
like
in your
these
local?
little no, like the little small towns, they don't do a
Yeah.
parade. Um Next weekend we'll go to Everett Pride, which is a block party. Like there's no parade.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I love these little places getting pride. Like that's
Yeah,
reflect the community. We're not just all in the cities. We are on the outskirts, and
right.
I love
Yeah.
seeing that. I love it. If it's safe, let's be safe.
Well,
But
sure. But the other thing that I really liked about it was just seeing, because we saw some of the same vendors both days,
mhm.
is just seeing how many small businesses that are owned by queers out here.
Mm,
And where I live it's the suburbs, but it's country adjacent. We
yeah.
live in an area where we're close to farming and ranching communities. And so just to see how many folks have little businesses, little cottage industry businesses that
Yeah.
are owned by queers out in,
Yeah.
the sticks out here is nice.
So here's a question. Do you remember your first pride?
Yeah, so my first pride was in 1980 in
Yeah.
Minneapolis,
You
and
were
it
you were young.
was, oh yeah, I was 17, 17,
Okay.
was 17. Um, and there were maybe a couple thousand people there. It was not big.
Yeah.
That's the first one that I went to. The second one was in Seattle because I had moved back here in 1981,
Uh-huh.
and then it was just every year after that
Yeah, yeah.
up until more recently when I haven't been as consistent in going.
Yeah. And Seattle Pride got huge. Huge.
Seattle Pride got really huge, super corporate, and lost so much of what made Pride feel like Pride to me.
Yeah, they took it out of the neighborhood and they put
Yeah,
it
they brought it
downtown. And
downtown, put it downtown, and it ends
that
at Seattle Center, which is, a huge space, and it's great, but it's not the neighborhood.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know, I was kind of sad about that when I lived in Seattle. I was kind of sad about that.
Yeah, well, and
It felt
now it's like being in San Francisco or LA or New York in that there's also all of these like VIP Pride event
oh
package
yeah.
things. So like on Capitol Hill over Pride weekend, one of the bar ownerships, so they own a number of bars on the hill.
Hmm.
Um, but they have like this VIP package that you buy for like $300 a person to
What
attend
do you
all
get?
of their events. So they shut down um, a block and then throw like this giant block party basically with lots of performers and
That's
stuff.
cool.
But like $300 a ticket? Come on.
That's not your. You haven't even started drinking yet, right?
No,
You haven't even fed
right.
yourself. That's just your ticket.
Or paid for
Yeah.
parking, or, you know,
Yeah.
if you can even find parking.
Yeah.
What's your first Pride that you went to that you remember?
My first was, I was thinking about that and I thought that it was 1994 San Diego, but I realized that I was stationed in the Aleutian chain of Alaska, and my girlfriend at the time and Miss Calpurnia Adams, the three of us took a 3-day weekend freedom flight, which is a free flight to Anchorage. And we
Hmm.
landed and we didn't know that it was Anchorage Pride. We had no idea. And so we met these locals in
Oh,
a
wow.
bar. Calpurnia met this beautiful boy. And so they were like, we're going to come pick you up from your hotel tomorrow. We're going to take you out to Pride. And I swear to all of the deities, we drove 57 weeks to some park outside of Anchorage, Alaska, and had Pride in the middle of fucking nowhere. I don't know where we were. Anchorage Pride, summer of '93. But it was great. It was
Wow.
just these locals. We knew nobody. They were so friendly. They dropped us
Right.
back off. Like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But I barely remember that
It's like
day,
we're driving
except for
off
being
into the
picked up.
woods. I don't know where we're going. We could be taken out.
Seriously. Yes. We're either going to go party or you're going to dispose of our bodies. Either way, I have no choice to be here.
Right?
But the one that I really remember was San Diego, 1994. I was still active duty Navy.
Oh, wow.
We went to the parade, and I was with my oldest brother's gay, and so I was with all of his friends, and it was so amazing to be around like all of these people, and I've told you this story, but the
Yeah.
news crew was there, right? It's a huge parade. The news crew was there to
Yeah.
document, and as they
Yeah.
were coming down, somebody, and it wasn't my brother, but somebody said, we have active duty military here, because this was before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. This was Don't Ask,
Right.
Don't Tell, but
Well, it was during that time. Yeah.
yep, yeah. So, and they were like, we have active duty military, and a sea of people stood in front of me to block me from the camera. I don't know who they were.
That's awesome.
Right, like it was so sweet. It was just so much fun. It was so much fun. Um, it was just everybody. We all just looked out for each other, right? Like everybody just looked out for
Yeah.
everybody. It was really, really, really a fun time. Yeah.
Well, that's how
So
it
that was
used to be.
that was my intro to Pride that I remember. Yeah.
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 I mean, some of the stuff that stands out for me, I mean, obviously living through the HIV AIDS crisis years, Pride took
Yeah.
on really big significance, I think, for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Because not
Yeah.
only were we celebrating being queer, we were celebrating the lives of people that had passed. We were trying to raise money for the people that were still trying to stay alive, um, and creating visibility for all of us for social and political purposes. Um,
Yeah. Yes.
so,
You know,
I feel like sort of through the late 80s to the mid 90s, Pride was um, Pride was definitely more political than it is now.
yeah, and I also loved hearing, my brother's friends who said, "I'm still here, so I'm going to
Right.
party for me and this list of names of my friends that aren't." Like that hits a certain way to be like, I'm still here, I am mourning, and I'm going to party. So I think that heaviness and lightness at the same time was what was beautiful about Pride to me, right? We were partying as a political expression. We were partying as a rebellion. We were partying because we were scared we wouldn't be here the next year, right? Like it's real. And so, that's why Pride has changed. Um Pride got more corporate. Pride got a lot of beer sponsors, but I still think the spirit of it hopefully is still the same. I don't know if the kids feel the same way, but I still think it's
I
relevant.
don't know, like so often when I've now been to like the Pride Parade, right? It seems like when I look out into the crowd, it's an awful lot of young people who aren't queer, but who think it's cool to come hang out at the Pride event.
Well, how do we know they're not queer? Are they like heterosexually coupled up?
Yeah, or, young, particularly young heterosexual women who are like, woohoo,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, the woo woo girls. The
yeah,
woo woo girls.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like you look at so to me at least, going through the 80s and into the 90s, most of the contingents in the parade were organizations within the community. They were
Yeah.
nonprofits. They were the leather community. They were Dykes on Bikes. They
The
were
bars.
um,
Yeah.
bars. I remember. So I used to go to the Timberline a lot when it was open. It was like my
The
hangout.
country western
And
bar,
the
right?
Timberline, yeah, it was a country western bar, gay
Yeah.
country western bar.
Yeah.
And we literally two-stepped the entire parade route and then stopped and did like line dances every once in a while.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but these days, like, you barely get anything that's community based. It's like corporation, 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 employee group, employee group, employee group. Oh,
Employee group,
somebody
I was gonna
queer.
say. It's
Employee group,
yes.
employee group. Oh, corporation, corporation,
Yes.
corporation.
Politician, politician,
And
politician. Yeah.
politicians, 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 politicians. So to me, all of the things that make Pride both a celebration and a protest have been lost.
It's a little saturated. It's a little I draw the parallel between pride parades in Las Vegas, because you remember in like the
Right.
late, maybe my years are off, there was a time when Vegas changed its marketing to be like, come
Oh, for sure.
families, come to
Yes.
Vegas, bring your
Yeah.
kids, right? And I
Do you
feel like
remember?
Pride went to the same thing. Come to Pride, bring
Yeah.
your kids, we're just like you, right? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, bring your
Yeah.
kids. I'm
No.
all about, you want to be an ally and you want to bring your kids to Pride. Bring them. but do not expect me to not walk around in assless pants, right? Like I want both. You want to
Right.
come to Pride?
Right.
Yes, you are
Yeah.
welcome. Please, we need more of you. We need your help. But we're
Right.
still going to be us. I hope. I hope we're still going to
Well,
be queer.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't want to. I the homogenization, the um desexualization of people who are legitimately outlaws around sex and sexuality is
Yeah.
no, no.
I know.
And and
I
then
know.
when you get that policing from within your own community that's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, we can't have you being visibly whatever. So that's why leather contingents are often at the very back of the parade
Yeah.
because, you know, event organizers don't want the heteros to think that that's who we are.
What were you telling me about one year? There was a guy hogtied to the front of a truck or something. What was
Oh
at
yeah,
Seattle?
so yeah, so this is probably gosh, 92, 93, 94, something like that when Pride was still up on the hill. And there was a guy who was tied spread eagle on the hood of a car, well, a truck.
Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
was for one of the leather bars. And he
Beautiful.
was wearing
Beautiful.
chaps and a jock
Yeah.
and, you know, feet up in the air.
Yeah. That's
And
that's what I want at my Pride
yeah,
parade. Yeah.
yeehaw. That's what I want to see. Um,
Yeah.
I went, so 94, when I was IMSL, all of the international title holders had been invited to come to New York for the 25th anniversary of Pride. And so we all held the banner and walked at the front of the leather contingent. And it's one of the more memorable prides I've ever been to, obviously being the 25th anniversary and being in New
Yeah.
York. Um, and the leather contingent was at the back of the parade where the least number of people would see us because by the time you got to
Of
us,
course.
and the New York parade is big any year, right? The first time I
Yeah.
went to New York
Yeah.
Pride was 1985, no, 86. Um, it was the summer between my first and second year of law school. I was working in New York for the summer, and I remember showing up at the law firm that I was working at, and there was we the firm occupied 4 floors in the building that we were in. And when you didn't come off the elevator on like the main reception floor, you came to kind of an empty hallway in the elevator bank, and it was buffeted on either end by a door that you had to be buzzed through. And on one end, there was like this little glass window booth into an office where 2 people sat, and their job was to buzz you in. And so, like, my first day on the job, and it was maybe the weekend before Pride, and I look in the little window, and one of the people working in there was clearly a butch dyke.
It.
So I get buzzed through, I introduce myself, and as we're chatting, I'm like, so is there anything I should be doing this coming up weekend? Any place I should be? And she was like, you want to be at this location to line up. And I'm like, thank you very much.
Got
Like,
it.
this very coded conversation about where to be.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
Love it.
yeah, yeah. But, the whole thing about putting the leather contingent in the back in 94, I mean, they had a pride flag that was almost the size of a city block. So
Yeah.
at the beginning of the parade. And so when you look at pictures from that year, by the time you get to the leather contingent, everybody else had gone and ended up at Central Park to party. Like there were very few
Yeah.
people lining the streets anymore by the time we went past. And that's all
Again, it
about
was around
that.
that time. The optics of we're just
Yeah,
like you. Don't be afraid of us. We want the same rights. We're just
right.
like you. We're just like you. We're just like you. Which
Yeah,
there's arguments pro and con for the we're just like you movement that we all attempted. Right? I get it. We're just like you, except we refuse to be ashamed about our sexuality. So
right,
why are we then watering down our superpower
right,
for who and for what? Right? Like that's our gift to the world is y'all are so hung up on
right,
sex and when we're not going to do that. So
right.
then why are we saturate? Why are we just watering down like our superpower? That's what I don't get.
Well,
But
and I think about it
you know,
now, sort of in the context politically of, so we went through the last 50 years of gaining a great deal of political rights.
mhm,
We stopped having to worry about, ooh, we're going to get busted for cross-dressing. We stopped worrying
mhm,
about,
mhm,
oh, we can't live here because we're engaging in sodomy and that's against the law. We've gone to a place where many of us live in places where we have non-discrimination laws that apply to us. And then we've seen in the last, what, 2 years,
2 years.
an extraordinary amount of laws passed that strip away human rights for queer people, particularly for
And I would
trans people.
argue we're right back to you can't be a cross-dresser. We have
Yeah,
elevated language, we understand it, but if you're saying a trans woman can't go in the women's room, that's the same thing as the anti-cross-dressing laws. You just now
right,
call it we just now call it transgender. You can't. Yeah.
right.
So,
Or you try
yeah.
to ban drag, which is ridiculous. Drag's
Yes.
been around since the dawn of time, but now you've made it
Yes.
a
And
a political football.
he's
So
built a
I'm
whole
curious
platform on
this
it,
year.
which
Yeah. So I'm curious this year, like if in the places that have bigger parades, if we will be back to more of a place of protest.
yeah. And I hope so. And let me also just say, obviously, we both live on the West Coast. We both
Right.
live near or very near giant cities on the West Coast, right? Like my
Which are
experience since I
queer
left
mecca.
Wichita, Kansas
Yeah.
is very different than if I had stayed, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we
Yeah.
acknowledge our privilege of being here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we speak from a
Yeah.
very
And we both
particular
live
experience.
near, yeah, and we live near queer, not only big cities, but big queer cities.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I trans march in San Francisco is at the end of the month. I'll be there. How many
Yeah.
cities have a trans march? So I feel
Right.
I feel lucky and grateful. The flyover states, we know it's a different experience.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
even in rural places in our states, it's a different experience.
yeah, yeah. So I would say, pride is still relevant. Pride is still needed. I know there was a time, I think in the early 2000s, where everyone was like, "Do we still need pride?" And it kind of went through that whole self-reflective thing. But
Right.
yeah, I think I believe pride is still absolutely important. Um,
Yeah.
if for no other reason than to just go and be around people that you can just let your guard down with a little bit, hopefully, make
Yeah.
community, but
I
it's
mean,
still
one of the
needed.
best things about Pride is the shared culture, right? Which is a little
Yeah.
bit what we were talking about at the beginning of the show in terms of, like, I want to go and hear gay anthems.
Yes. 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 I want to see drag queens. I want to see all of the businesses that want me to see them, right? Some of them are weird. I'm like, okay, Fox channel, you're here. Great. That's okay. Okay, great. But,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
Walmart, you're here. Okay, sure. But I
Yeah.
want to see all of the businesses that want me to see them, right? I appreciate that. And it's a party.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
But yeah,
happy
like that
Pride to
shared
you.
culture is
And
important. Happy Pride to you.
yes, Pride to you and
What are you
anywhere
doing
else you
anything
are.
else?
We're going to do, so Pride Sack is over. We're going to do
Right.
Trans March at the end of the month. I
Cool.
think that's it for our Pride season. Yeah. Are you?
I think we're going to do Everett next weekend.
That's right.
And then Pride weekend, like the big Pride in Seattle. I actually don't
Mm-hmm.
like Luna might go to some stuff, but I won't because I'll be on parent duty. And it's
Okay.
with my daughter's autism, it's just too much of a sensory overwhelm for her to go to
I
big
bet.
things like that. Um,
Yeah.
but that weekend there's Trans Pride on Friday. There's the Pride
Nice.
Festival on Capitol Hill on Saturday, and then there's the Pride Parade and Festival on Sunday. And then, like I said, there's all these like private, well, not really private, but like pay to play party
Yeah.
experiences on Capitol Hill all weekend.
Nice. Nice.
So lots to do. And then there are other smaller prides that extend into July. So we may find some other ones to go to.
Totally. And, you know, I always, every year, I'm like, did I get enough Pride? And I always have my backup Pride, which is Palm Springs, because that shit's in November
Right.
because it's the surface of the sun,
Right.
or October or whatever.
Exactly.
So if you always feel like you didn't get enough Pride, you've always got Palm Springs has got your back. So.
Exactly. Well, and San Diego and Long Beach are also later, aren't they? San Diego's like
So
in
San Diego
September.
used to be at the end of July. Yeah, it used to be in the end of July. And I think, no, and I know San Diego moved it into June a couple years ago. But yeah, it was always end of
Did
July,
they?
which was great.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I'm sorry, it's now the middle of July. Sorry, San Diego. Sorry, San Diego. Yeah, they moved it up a couple weeks, but it's
Yeah.
July. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and you can always go to World Pride, which is in like March.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And if it's not freaky enough for you at Pride, there's always Folsom. Folsom will always take you back. Folsom will
Well,
always be
there's
your booty
Dory
call.
Alley.
Dory
There's
Alley will
Dory Alley
always...
and Folsom. So,
Yes.
you're covered there or
Yes.
uncovered as the case may be.
Yes. Yeah, they will always take your call if you feel like you didn't get your freak on enough. So
Exactly.
all right, everybody, happy Pride. Remember
Happy Pride,
the
everyone.
reason for the season, and stay hydrated. Don't drink weird drinks. Wear your sunscreen. And party.
Play
and
safe.
Remember why we're doing it. Be safe.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.
Hey, thank you for listening to this episode of This Effen Show. Do us a favor and give us a follow on Instagram and YouTube at This Effen Show.
And you can email your comments or questions to us at thiseffenshow@gmail.com.
See you next time.